I want to head over to the CME because Scott Bauer is with us at the top of the hour. It's the Bauer Hour. He's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Hey, good to see you in the morning, Scott. Long time no chat.
Great.
Let's talk what's going on right now. It's all stocks positive. How do you read this 80 basis point move in the NASDAQ this morning?
How about it? I mean, it's just a continuation, just strength in that sector right now. That's where the money's all flowing right now. I mean, obviously it's led by Netflix now, which is just on a wild tear right now. You know, got upgraded the other day, but really across that whole space, that's where the strength is. And what's really interesting is we're seeing financials, a little bit weaker here, coming off of yesterday's rate rise, coming off what we see out of the ECB today. So, maybe we're actually seeing some acceleration in the NASDAQ space because we're seeing, I'm not going to call it a sector shift or anything like that, but maybe some of the money coming out of the financial space. We saw it coming out of home builders the other day, and maybe it's flowing into the NASDAQ right now.
So this is pretty interesting, Scott, because it basically is a small cap. We see strength there as well, but it's really just across the board, really concentrated within those growth companies, consumer discretionary and tech. Scott, my point is that if we're talking December for the ECB to slow down its QE program, if we've got yields that can't move through 3, I mean, what is that different about 2018 so far than in, dare I say, 2017?
Your guess is as good as mine, other than the fact that we've been through a couple periods of big shock to the system, right? February, we had another sell-off couple months later. We hadn't really seen that dynamic, that strong of a shock to the system in 2017. Yeah, prior to that, we saw Brexit sell-off, this, that, the other. But I think what really hit the marketplace in February is still on investors' minds, still making everybody a bit cautious, even though all signs are pointing still up in this market.
This is an interesting point, Scott, because basically what you have are a lot of things that are similar, but a continued waiting game that gets pushed back, right? We know that markets do think 2018 is different because of what we saw in February, right? That big shock that you're talking about, which was, oh, this number beat, oh boy, I guess I didn't have a handle on where inflation can go. So maybe investors are long. I would think maybe they might be that, trader term, a nervous long, but we see VIX at 12 right now, Scott.
And that's why it should not be a nervous long, because insurance is cheap again. Just like we saw over the last couple of years, Oliver, when VIX was trading in the 10, 11, 12 handle. I talked about this continuously. Traders on the floor talk about this continuously. If the economics look good, if the basis for the marketplace looks good, great, stay long, but don't be a pig about it. Buy cheap protection, right? We talk about this all the time. You go out, you buy your auto insurance, you buy your homeowner's insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Now's the time to, insurance is on sale right now. Yeah. Buy it, stay in the marketplace.
I think it's such a good point, Scott, and it's been on sale for the past couple weeks despite all these things that folks are supposedly worried about. Scott, real quick, we see some strength in oil. What do you make of the past few days here as it gets somewhat of a slowdown from the selling?
Yeah, I think we're just seeing some bottom feeders maybe come in, but I think, over the next 2-3 weeks, maybe the next month or so, I think there's definitely some pressure in the oil space. We have continued rise in output here in the U.S. We have the OPEC meeting next week, which everyone is kind of waiting on. What are they going to do? Are they going to, release some of the cutbacks that they had? So I think there's still some short-term pressure, and I think what we're seeing right now is just a little strength based off of, the massive decline we've seen over the last 3-4 weeks or so.
All right, Scott, appreciate it. Always great to get your take, sir.